especially this expression Samaviharayo or Samaviharana, living rightly, conducting rightly, or conducting in the right way. This has been described by commentarians that as for the Sotapanna, if one attains Sotapanna, one can transmit or relay one's attainment, method of attainment, to another person so as to cause him or her to attain Sotapanna. Then one is said to be living rightly, Samaviharayo. At that point, we came to the end of that topic. And then one has got to transmit or relay the reason for attainment, Adhikatana. That means one has to transmit or relay the method of practice, especially the Bhava Mega, the preliminary path, or forerunner path, the precursor to Ariya Mega. That has been the expression given. That is the precursor of the first path, consciousness, or it is, in another sense, it is also called Lokiya Mega, mundane path, or Vipassana Mega, insight path. So if one has realized this first path consciousness, one can relay this method of attainment, or the reason for attainment, called Bhava Mega, or Lokiya Mega, or Vipassana Mega, to another person. But not to mention that one has attained Sotapanna. And also with the monks, they had to be very careful. They're limited, prohibited by rules of conduct. And even for lay people, although they don't commit any offense, it is better not to reveal that. If they reveal this to another person who doesn't believe in him, then there might be some misunderstanding. He or she might be misunderstood. So one has got to be very careful as much as possible. Hence, the commentarians have given this Atano Adhikatana. Once forerunner path, preliminary path, can be transmitted or related to another person so as to cause him to practice in this way. How one can relate or explain how one practices Vipassana and one practices Satipatthana. And even then, one should not relate about higher attainments, higher insight knowledge, not necessarily because one has not attained as yet this higher insight knowledge. Hence, the commentarians have given this limitation. And nowadays, those people who have practiced to some extent and understood the teachings in some way, they have to be very careful, especially with the monks. And even for lay people, they should be careful not to reveal this. So they can only give the method of practice, but not one's attainment. In short, the Sotapanna, one Sotapanna should be able to cause another Sotapanna, new one to arise, at least a new one. And in this way one can cause this generation of Sotapanna to arise in the world, so that Sotapannas will continue to exist. So will be the Sakaragami, the second path of the consciousness, and will be those who realize the third path consciousness, Nagami, and the final path of consciousness of the Arahants. In this way, there will be this continuation of Arahants in the world. And furthermore, the Sakaragami, those who realize the second path, the one who has realized the second path also can cause another. If that person lives rightly, that person should behave in the same way as the Sotapanna, that is causing another Sakaragami to arise, a new Sakaragami. And so with the Anagami, the third path consciousness, should be able to develop cause another anagami to arise, and so too with the arahant, the final path. In this way, if they are able to cause new ones, new sagragami, anagami, arahants to arise in the world, then the world will not be void of ariyas. Instead, there will be the continuation of the generation of ariyas, noble ones, or attained ones. And the commentators have continued to say that how about the Megata Pukala, that means the one who is realizing the path consciousness, how he or she can develop. However, at this time, since the Megata Pukala is the one who realizes path consciousness in an instantaneously, in a matter of a second or instant, he or she will not be able to cause another Megata to arise. There's not enough time for him or her to cause another Megata to arise. So in this connection, this much will be said, otherwise it will be more complicated. It is shown that only the Paṇḍitā Pukala, that means the one who is realizing the fruit of the path, is able to perform such a thing, namely cause another Paṇḍitā to arise. And the explanation here also is not giving justice in the case of Megata Pukala, the one who was realizing the path consciousness at that very moment. So it is only explained about the Vipassana yogi, how Vipassana yogi can cause arahants to arise in the world so that the world will not be void of arahants. The Arada Vipassaka, the progressing yogi or assembly Vipassana yogi, who is practicing to attain the first path consciousness, by having begun the practice of Vipassana through the stages of energy, in 3 stages of energy. He or she has already begun, and is progressing, and has reached the insight knowledge such as Uriyavya Jnana. Such a person, such a yogi is known as Arada Vipassaka. We may call, just for the sake of simplicity, Vipassana yogi, the one who has realized this, who has attained to the insight, the knowledge, such as Namarupa Parishara Jnana, knowledge of the discernment of mind-body, and then Pachaya Parikkhya Jnana, knowledge of discernment of conditions, and Samasara Jnana, verified knowledge by comprehension, verified knowledge by comprehension, comprehending and verifying the 3 characteristics by one's own personal experience. Such a person who has attained to these 3 stages cannot be called as yet Arada Vipassaka. Only when one has come to the stage of insight knowledge such as Uriyavya Jnana, the fleeting momentary nature of experience, can one be called Arada Vipassaka. This has to be remembered. It's only when one reaches the insight stage known as Uriyavya Jnana, the fleeting momentary nature of experience, will one be able to exhort others, urge others, and he or she has enough experience in order to urge or transmit and relay one's experiences and attainments and methods to others in their own right. It is quite correct. At this stage, one is experiencing illuminations, raptures, feeling joy, piti, tranquility, physical and mental, peace and happiness, calmness, happiness, and strong faith and confidence at this stage. Then one has much as to say to oneself, this is it, this is the real Dhamma, that sort of thing. And the practice becomes very good, and since one has experienced the Dhamma, one wishes to relay one's experience to others, and one is coming to confirmation and resolution, decision with one's own experiential knowledge, not through conceptual knowledge or intellectual appreciation. One comes to confirm what one has gained from the practice of the Dhamma, and also one will have respect and confirmation about the Buddha who has given this practice. At this stage, one feels levitated physically, mentally, and with the noting mind also become very proficient, skilled, and one is experiencing the flavor of the Dhamma at this stage. At this stage, when one is said to be gaining what is known as Dhamma Rati, Dhamma delight, also called Amanusi Rati, Oti, means this kind of happiness which excels, or which is out of reach of the happiness of human and devas. At this stage, one has become the Arada Vriya with true knowledge, and because one is able to cultivate mindfulness and concentration, which become very strong, and one sees the fleeting momentary nature of experience, building up momentum, and then one is able to note every arising object without excessive energy. One is automatically noting the object as they arise, or when the objects arise, automatically they are noted. Even the minute details are not missed at this stage. And with the deepened concentration, one's awareness becomes very sharp as regards the every arising object. And because of the strong mindfulness, one's awareness becomes very panoramic, wide and strong. The mind becomes very clear with faith and confidence. The awareness also is very clear. And because of the cultivation of concentration, the energy in stages, up to this attainment of Udiyadya Jnana, then one's awareness also becomes very strong and sharp. So the awareness at this stage becomes extraordinary, and it becomes very sharp, panoramic, wide, clear, and progressive. And at this stage, one is realizing the kind of happiness which is good in its purity, good in itself, without any admixture, and it is something which you don't want to let go and forsakable. Because one is building up momentum at this stage, and one is realizing an unforgettable flavor of the Dhamma. At this stage, one will wish to talk about one's practices, one's experiences to others, and one will wish to exhort others to undertake the practice. This is quite natural, quite reasonable. One will wish to talk to others about one's practice because one is experiencing the flavor of the Dhamma, and one wishes others also to experience in the same way. Just like when one is enjoying delicious food, one remembers loved ones, and so too with a practice. One wishes to impart knowledge or share one's experiences with others. This is quite natural. From the stage of the attainment of Udiyadya Jnana, the Bojjhanga Dhammas are experienced, which are the factors, the 7 factors for enlightenment or for the attainment of path consciousness. Because sati becomes very steadfast, very good, in ordinary sense. In normal times, when mindfulness is activated, it is upatita sati, just sustained mindfulness. At this stage, it becomes supatita sati, steadfast mindfulness, activating such steadfast mindfulness, more than ordinary mindfulness. And this way, one is said to be cultivating this one factor of enlightenment or the path consciousness, namely sati, Bojjhanga, the enlightenment factor of mindfulness. Then there's the investigation of states, which is one of the factors of enlightenment. Dhamma, Vichya, Sabojanga. Excuse me. Seeing the rising and passing way of psychophysical phenomena which are subject to cause and effect, seeing the old giving place to the new, seeing in a very fleeting way, seeing the fleeting nature of the objects, and this becomes very proficient. In this way, this Dhamma, Vichya, Samojanga, the enlightenment factor of the investigation of states come to happen, which is one of the factors of enlightenment, the quality to realize path consciousness. Then, as the energy is very strong, one is realizing this Viriya Sambojanga, the enlightenment factor of energy. At this stage, initially, one is cultivating Viriya, regarding in energy, as becomes Arada Vipassaka, progressive yogi or Vipassana yogi. Once we have come to this stage, one has gone through the three stages of energy, namely the initial launching energy, the first type of energy. Then comes the energy, liberating energy to overcome difficulties such as sluggishness, sloth and torpor, things like that. Then one builds up momentum of energy and is able to exert energy in stages under fulfillment. So energy becomes very strong, and such as Pegahida, one is cultivating this Pegahida Vriya, the energy which will cause you to uplifting type of energy, which will cause, just like the kind of energy which will uplift things, not to let them go down or stagnate. And because it is building up momentum, and one does not need to exert extra energy at this stage. The energy becomes very automatic. Because of the strength of energy, the path to unwholesomeness is blocked. Instead, the way is open to wholesomeness. At this stage, the mind becomes very clear and still, and experiencing the rapturous feelings, piti, pasati. So at this stage, Viriya has the quality, one of the factors of enlightenment, one of the qualities to realize path consciousness. And piti also has that kind of quality, factor of enlightenment. So is pasati, feeling calm and tranquility, both physically and mentally. And there's no distraction, no restlessness, there's no restlessness and worry about things not done or things done, and there's no skeptical doubt at this stage. Both the mind and body becomes very peaceful and happy. All these things are the factor of enlightenment, the quality of path consciousness. There's a feeling of well-being at this stage, as the samadhi becomes deepened, and the mind falls calm and collected on the object, every object noted. Earlier on, because of excessive zeal, one may be overshooting the object to be noted. And when the Viriya energy is low, one may be dozing off, and they are not balanced. At this stage, the two are balanced. And these two pairs of mental states, such as the Saddha and Panya, faith and confidence and wisdom, are said to be balanced. And so are Viriya and Samadhi, energy and concentration, which are the factors of enlightenment, or the quality leading to the realization of path consciousness. So at this stage, one is cultivating these Bojjhanga Dhammas, enlightenment factors. In the beginning of the practice, one is aware of one is convinced about the benefits of the practice of Satipatthana. By this, one's faith and confidence is said to be awakened, which is further enhanced and developed with the practice of Satipatthana. And then cultivating through embarking on the progressive knowledge and insight up to the stage of Uddiyabhya Jnana, one comes to full acceptance, confidence, resolution, adhimokha. At this stage, one's faith and confidence is very strong. And initially, one is healthy, even if one is not healthy at this stage, as a result of piti, passaddhi, sukha, rapture, tranquility, and happiness or bliss, building up momentum. One is one's materialities in the body become healthy, more and more healthy. One begins to experience transformation in one's life. Just like when one takes food, nutritious food, one's materialities become renewed or become improved. So too, as a result of piti, passaddhi, which are spiritual nutriments, one's materialities become renewed and improved. Especially the blood circulation becomes very good because the blood is very clear and healthy. And even when one has the initial original disease, some old diseases may be even cured, diseases which cannot be cured by in the ordinary way. With a spectacular result, one may be cured of such diseases. So at this stage, one's mentality becomes straightforward, honest. There's no pretension. One wouldn't hesitate to confess any mistakes or any offenses done to the teacher. One becomes very straightforward at this stage. So if the world will be full of such straightforward, honest people, then it will be very good. Such are the qualities of the practice of the Dhamma. And when we talk about viriya, which is in stages, one has cultivated viriya in stages. As much as the viriya energy is good, one is bound to see the rising and passing away, that the psychophysical phenomena which are subject to conditionality rise and pass away, the whole giving place to the new in a very faster manner. At this stage, one's practice becomes very active, diligent, and there's one will not be behaving like a sickly weakling, in a sickly manner, not weak manner, not feeble manner. One will become very strong, energetic, active, diligent. At this stage, these 5 Badani Ingas, elements of striving and limbs of striving, will also come to happen. And this is at this stage, if one continues the practice, at this stage one is bound to gain the insight and understand the teachings in this very life. Such a person who has come to this stage, known as Arahata Vipassana Yogi. And initially, as we have discussed, he or she wishes to share one's experiences with others. One wishes to transmit and relay one's experiences and practices to others. That is Bhakkhuna Kamathana, the meditation practice which one has experienced. One has experienced in a skillful manner, one's skillful practice of meditation through one's own personal experience. And one wishes to talk about that, and one wishes to exhort others to do it. The purpose is to cause another Arahata Vipassana Yogi to arise who is practicing in order to attain the first path consciousness for Anapana. And if one is conducting in this way, one is said to be living rightly, Samma Viharati. It is quite correct. Even in these times, when one comes to this stage, one may share one's experiences with others, and not so much as to become a teacher, to teach, but to share with others. Unless it is, of course, it has to be remembered that unless one is fulfilled with the qualities of Kalyana Mitta, it is not advisable to teach others. Arahata Vipassaka is the person who is practicing to realize fast path consciousness. And at this point, it has to be very careful to understand this. Some people say that in order to realize fast path consciousness, Anapana, one need not practice Vipassana. One need not activate mindfulness with the practice of Vipassana, inside practice. Because their argument is that the fast path consciousness, Sarvapati Mega, is Dasana Mega. So by just knowing the method, one can accomplish the purpose. In this way, they comment blindly. Now, in the case of Dasana, this is for them, they take it as reflection or intellectualization. And at this point, one has got to undertake the practice. That is the difference. So one has got to understand between these two, intellectualization and experiential knowledge. These two are different. So, after becoming Arahata Vipassaka, one has attained the Uryavya Jnana, and after one has attained Uryavya Jnana, will one become Arahata Vipassaka, and one is practicing to realize the fast path consciousness. And this person, this yogi, Arahata Vipassaka, should exhort other people to become Arahata Vipassaka, possessing this Uryavya Jnana, to practice towards the realization of the fast path consciousness. So, one is exhorting others to be like oneself. So, this is different from speaking in a blind way that to realize fast path consciousness, one need not undertake the practice, and one can accomplish the purpose by just knowing the method, which is wrong. And sometimes with too much general knowledge, one can take the wrong thing as right. So one has got to be very careful. So one has got to remember that in order to realize all the four path consciousness, one has got to go through the practice of Ubhabhaga Mega, that is preliminary path or forerunner path. Then only one will be able to attain to these four path consciousness. So this Arahata Vipassaka is the progressing yogi or progressive yogi striving towards the realization of the fast path consciousness or Sarvapana. That the commentaries have elaborated or described that since this Arahata Vipassaka yogi is practicing to realize the fast path consciousness, he or she is not yet an attained one, Ariya, and he or she is still Purujana, ordinary worldling, ordinary person. And if one has come to the stage of this Uryavya Jnana, one is still Arahata Vipassaka, still Purujana, ordinary worldling, ordinary being, not yet attained one. Of course, if one realizes the higher knowledge like Bhanga Jnana, Bhaya Jnana, then one will be more so means more as Arahata Vipassaka. So they are speaking blindly. If they are talking like this, then they are not behaving in accordance with the 5 limbs of striving, Pranayanga, which says that one has got to have faith and confidence to start out with. Then one must be healthy physically and must be straightforward and all honest. And one must strive, exert energy to realize until one realizes the Uryavya Jnana. So if they say, if according to them, one can realize the first path consciousness without undertaking the practice, but one can realize the first path consciousness by just thinking or intellectualization, then these 5 paranigas will be useless, it will be in vain. So without any faith and confidence, if one think about it or intellectualize it, that means that goes to show that one can realize the first path consciousness without having strong faith in accordance with the 5 paranigas. And even if one is not straightforward or honest, even if one is dishonest, by just thinking or intellectualization without undertaking the practice, one can realize the first path consciousness. And even if one is feeble, not being energetic or diligent, by just thinking or intellectualization, one can realize the first path consciousness without practicing. Then such things will be of no value. Such results which are gained according to that will be of no value. So it is impossible to gain this Uriyagya Jnana without undertaking any practice, without seeing even the arising and passing away of psychophysical phenomena. In which case, it is tantamount to saying that the 5 paranigas, 5 limbs of striving are not necessary. Instead, by just intellectualization, one can realize the first path consciousness. This is something for us to think about. That's all for today.